This episode sponsored by Lake Monster Details, producing the Don's Light and Magic Legacy line of parts, offering upgrade parts and decals for accuracy, special effects, and lighting. Visit www.lakemonsterdetails.com and make it glow. Also sponsored by GCals, producing aftermarket replacement decals and custom quality graphics for your favorite spaceships. Visit www.gcals.company.site and add some personalization to your sci-fi models today. Also sponsored by Mask Design, boldly going where no masking kit has gone before. Take your model to the next level of detail and accuracy with a masking kit from Mask Design. Visit Mask Design on Facebook or click the ordering link in the notes below the video.
Hey, what's up, fellow modelers? Will here. Welcome to the Ends and Share. So this episode, finally getting back into the Grissom build. It's been a little bit since I put out a video on this, but I said it was going to be a little bit because all the work that needs to be done as far as the masking and painting and stuff like that. Plus, I hurt my back a little while ago. You know you're getting old when you hurt your back and you don't even know how you hurt your back. But anyway, it made it kind of hard to sit in this chair, sit in any chair for, as a matter of fact. So finally getting better, getting back into it. I've really worked this week to try to get this model kind of up to speed. Before that, I kind of stepped back from this model a little bit because it's one of those things where you get into a model and you're trying to get it done. And a lot of it, I was creating my own problems because I was rushing it and I was putting masks on and taking masks off and remasking and not waiting enough time. Part of it was not waiting enough time to mask the second step, and then I would pull some of the paint off. I'd have to go back and fix it, and then there was a couple times where I didn't mask off. I didn't completely cover an area, and I would go paint something and pull the mask off, and I'd have a streak of paint across a part. I'd have to fix that. So I've been creating my own problems, but slowed it down a little bit. I did work this week though to kind of get this caught up and get this near wrapped up. We are going to be here at the end. And this isn't glued together yet. It's just kind of all sectioned or stuck together right now. I just finished doing the light test on it. I've got the warp chiller grills are also lit up. So there you go with that. That's going to look real nice. But all the lights are working, and I'm happy with that. So now I'm ready to seal this up. And I'm thinking maybe one more video and we'll wrap this up. Maybe a little bit before I do another video, just because I've got a custom base I'm working on. If you've seen my TOS console base that I did, I'm doing something similar for this, but themed on the TOS movie era. So I'm working on that. That's going to take me a little bit to do. I'm hoping to have that done and have this. I'm going to do, like I said, a wrap-up video. Hopefully have it done before the end of the year, but we've got the holidays coming up. And I've just got to find the time to get all that done. I've got to print it. I've got to light it. I've got to do a lot of stuff to it. So it's going to take me a little bit to get that base done. And I want to have the base done before I wrap this up. But this end of this video will pretty much be done. We'll be done completely with the Mask Design masking set for the Grissom. And all I've got left to do is some detail paint. I do have a couple more touch-ups I got to fix yet that I've messed up on. But she's looking great. I'm happy with it. I'm ready to get this done so we can get on to the next build. That's what I'm always looking forward to. So it's not that I'm not happy with the build. It's been a great build. I've got the Kronos 1 yet that I'm almost done with as well. So hopefully get both of those builds done by the first of the year. And I'll put out a hint of what my next plan is for my next build here shortly on my Facebook page. So keep an eye out for that. If you're not on Facebook, sorry, but I'll put a hint out there as to what my next build is going to be. Most of y'all will be able to figure it out right away. But anyway, without further ado, give me a minute. I'll put you on the bench. We'll get to work. All right, so here is that lower section of the Grissom, and it's turned out real nice. You know, I've had to do, like I mentioned in the opening, I've had to go back and do a lot of touch-ups. Just it seemed like at one point every time I did one painting step on this, I messed up something else. A lot of that was because I was trying to move too fast. You know, before an area was dry, I would mask off to paint the next area, and then when I pull that mask off, it would lift some of the paint. Not paint peel, but it would lift some of that layer off because it wasn't completely dry, and I'd have to go back and touch it up. Still got a couple areas under here where I've got to go back and touch up yet. But and then there was a couple of areas where I had boo-boos where I didn't mask off enough. For instance, you can see this blue here from when I painted these grills on the backs of the pylon here. I didn't mask off well enough, and the paint got under it on both sides actually. So now I've got to mask this off and repaint this, touch this up with the white on both sides. But it's been a lot of that, you know, two or three steps forward and one step back, and but it's working out real nice. The masks worked out perfectly. I am done with them at this point. I did the you can see how well this turned out up front, following Gary's instructions to the T. Very you can still see the panel lines, but they're very subdued, and looks really good. I think it looks really close, if not you know, a perfect match to what the studio model looks like. So that turned out real nice. The area on top also turned out real nice, again following Gary's instructions. You can see those lines are subdued, and I did just like Gary recommended. I cut a piece of plastic card and a piece of sheet styrene and cut some different size openings and just kind of held it at a bent shape over top of this, and held my airbrush, I don't know, about maybe 4 or 5, 6 inches at the most from the face of this, and just kind of sprayed these lines, and then came over it with the silver wash, and it turned out real nice. I'm real happy with that. Still got to go back and touch up these two pieces here. I kind of I touched them up once, but then I didn't really get enough of a layer of a paint on them. I thought I did, but I'll have to go back and touch those up a little bit more. I am going to, you can see I got a little bit of overspray. I don't know if it's showing up on camera, like right here, that I might have to fix too. These areas here will get a little more detail done to them. I'm going to do probably a black or dark gray wash, just to kind of bring out those details, to make these vents pop a little more, and to make the recessed areas in these mechanical bays here pop a little more. And yeah, pretty much follow Gary's instructions to the T. The only difference I did was on these side vents, and I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera, but he did I think it was the dolphin, and then he did I think it was 2 parts the dolphin and a drop of the Moody Blue. It was either the Moody Blue or the Windsor Blue. It's in the video instructions. I don't remember off the top of my head, but the mixture he had for this, he was doing the dry brush with it. Excuse me. And the dry brush wasn't turning out the way I wanted it to. So what I did was I did the same mixture, but put it in my airbrush, and basically I did that base coat of the dolphin gray, and then came over this kind of in kind of a curve this way, from this bottom left corner up to the top right corner, and just kind of did a couple different layers, you know, of it, and turned out real nice to me. And then what I did was with the brown mixture, I basically did like a little wash of it, and just came along the bottom edge here, basically in the opposite motion, the bottom left to the top right, coming down along the bottom edge here, just to give a little bit of a brown, a little bit of a rust look to it. And turned out real nice. I'm real happy. I don't know how well the camera's picking it up, but I don't know where I'm at as far as the focus. I think it's about as focused as it's going to get. But turned out real nice. I'm happy with that. I like the way it turned out. So this section turned out real good. The only thing I'm not too happy with is these front vents. The front and back vents, actually, on this. The only thing I can recommend on this, it's really hard to gauge when this is centered, and Gary mentions that this is it's probably one of the more difficult masks to work with on this kit, because it's hard to gauge when this is centered on this pylon. What I would do in hindsight is probably put a pencil mark center line up these before you put the mask on, and then when you put the mask on, you can kind of center it up that way, because once you put the mask on here, You can't really see the top or bottom edge because the mask is just a little bit larger, or maybe right at the size of this pylon thickness. So what I would do is do a little pencil tick in the middle while you can see where it's at. And then even use a ruler if you need to measure out the center line all the way up this and do a couple of pencil marks, because you're going to paint over it anyway. But I would do that, and then that way you can center this up better. It didn't turn out too bad on the front, but on the back you can see it's way off in a couple spots there, and then here it really went out of whack. So I'm going to try to touch this up a bit, but I may even just remask this individually and repaint it. But that's the only part I'm not happy with how it turned out. And like I said, in hindsight, if I'd done some little pencil ticks center line of that, it probably would have helped out a lot. So it's just my suggestion for that. I've still got to paint this back part, this back opening here. I guess it's an exhaust port. Got to paint that yet. But other than that, this is pretty much done, other than some details, a couple little details here and there. So let me put this aside and let's pull over the top section. That's done now. Well, just about done. Now this one I still got to do a couple things on. I've got to do the silver dome has to be done yet on both sides, and then I think this has to be silver as well. I've got to look. But other than that, this is pretty much done, and I'm real happy with how this turned out. Now again, this is one of those things. I had a big issue with paint peel right there, you can see, and again that just goes back to that black primer I used. That's just been coming back and biting me in the butt every so often, and it did the same thing here. Even though I thought I had sanded it all off, apparently there was still some here, because the paint just peeled right off. When I painted these grills, I had masking run up along here, and when I peeled that mask off, it just peeled that little bit of paint off. So that's a touch-up I'm going to have to do on that. And I did get a little bit of bleed under with the white, or actually this blue, I guess it's a light gray it's supposed to be, but it's kind of bluish, onto my grills. But I'll come back and touch that up. That'll be an easy touch-up with my my Dykem. Come back and touch that up. But other than that, everything's looking pretty good. I got a little bit of touch-up where I had to go back and fix an issue with this vent. So I got to go back and touch that up. Like I said, a lot of touch-up, a lot of stuff where it's, I've just been creating my own problems. But if I had done this a different step, like I'd mentioned before in my recommendations, as far as doing these sub-assemblies a different way, I wouldn't have run into half the problems that I've run into. And I still got to paint, this still has to be painted gray back here. But it's getting real close. It's almost there. It's turned out really nice. I'm really happy with the way the masks went. Like I said, at this point, I'm pretty much done with the masks, except for this part here. And where are those masks? That's where these masks here come in, for that top, the bottom dome, and then those two smaller domes I've got to do. That's the remainder of my my masking kit from Mask Design that I've got to get done on this. And then it's pretty much little details to do, and the decaling, or decaling, as Gary likes to say. Not to bust his chops on that, but so that's pretty much it, guys. Just want to do a quick update on how this is coming along. I said that once I got into the painting phase, it was just going to be updates at that point, because the assembly, until I get the painting done, I'm ready to put this together, which actually I'll be ready to do here shortly. So actually, if I can get these done, we'll come back and we'll take a look, and we'll actually get this assembled to that bottom pontoon and take a look at it. So give me a little bit to work on this, and then before I end this video, we'll go ahead and see if we can't get this assembled and put together. So give me a bit. Alright guys, so I've gotten enough of the painting and the repairs I needed to make done, and I'm ready to put this together now. And I just wanted to show how much easier having these colored wires all the same going from the bottom to the top makes this. So I know that my black, I've got two grounds coming out of the top section going to the bottom, and I know both of those connect to the negative, which is the black coming out the bottom. And then I've got this yellow wire connecting, which I believe is coming off of the control board from Tenna Controls. Oh, and I've got, before I connect these, for a second there I thought I'd forgotten to put my shrink wrap, my shrink tubing on there. So I got a piece of shrink tubing on there, and every time before I connect these, I just slide a piece of shrink tubing over it and let it slide down. That way, once I get these connected and I'm ready to solder these ends together, all I've got to do then, once these are soldered together, is slide that piece of shrink tubing over it and put a little heat to it and shrink it down some, and those wires will be ready to go together. So I've got one more connection here to make my red to my red. And I think this is actually one of the first times I've done this to where I've used color-coded wiring, and it does make it so much easier when you go to do these, especially, I did forget to put my shrink tubing on that one though. So let's put my shrink tubing on there. There we go. Especially if you're used to putting labels on these, and sometimes, you know, you got to worry about the label falling off. It's really easy to have these color-coded wires. That way I know, even if, you know, I didn't need to use labels, but even if I need to use labels and they fell off, because of the color coding being the same for each wire connection, I know which wires go together. So I've got these all connected and ready to go. Now I just need a piece of solder and a soldering iron. And I'm actually got to, I haven't turned this up yet. I got too much stuff on my desk. I got to clear this thing off. I'll let that heat up for a second. But yeah, glad to be bringing these two builds to a close. This one, I got the Kronos one almost done. And I'll be talking, if I don't have the video out before this one, I should have it out not long after this one. But it's kind of out of commission for a little bit because I hurt my back. And this one here, though, I actually, because all the issues I'd mentioned I was having, I just walked away from it for a little bit. Sometimes you got to do that, you know, rather than keep trying to force something, and next thing you know, you mess something up majorly. Fortunately, these were all minor things that were happening and I had to fix, and a lot of them were, pretty much all of them were self-created. All right, see, those are all soldered and done. And now all I've got to do, but what I was saying was, those are all, they were all self-created problems. They weren't, you know, there was no issue with the mask. There was no issue with my paints or that. It was just, you know, other than, like I said, the self-created issue of using that, trying to use that really cheap primer, and that it just, oh God, it's made this build so much more difficult than what it should have been. And it's part of the reason what's created the issues that I had to just step away from it for a couple of days, or actually a couple of weeks in this case. I just, you know, I got away from it and got involved in doing the Kronos one, and was really enjoying that build, and I still am. It's been a really good build. I've really enjoyed the Kronos, mainly because I didn't make the issues for myself that I made with this. That build has actually gone really smoothly compared to this one. This has been a difficult build. It's just getting over all those issues I was creating for myself. Get that tube in to stay right there. All right. So we got all of our connections together. I'm just going to kind of try to wrangle this together. And basically what I've got to do is take the bottom section. I got to be careful doing this because I don't want to pull anything apart. And kind of work these wires into the bottom section, so that way I can join the pylons to the lower edge of the saucer. Well, I guess this isn't really a saucer, but join the two pieces together. And this is why I mash, kind of squeeze these wires a little bit when I do the shrink tubing, because sometimes, oh, you know what? I got a blue wire here. I don't have a blue wire coming out of here, and that is to my impulse or my warp engines. And I'm trying to remember what wire or how I had this run, because I don't have a wire coming out of the bottom, a blue wire coming out of the bottom. Well, I then created a conundrum for myself. I didn't run a wire for that, so I don't know what that wire is running to now that it's been so long. I'm going to have to look back and see how I hooked that up. So give me a minute. I got to look back at my notes and see what I did here, as far as I've got this blue wire coming off the bottom. And I know that's my control wire for the warp nacelles. But I got to dig through this. I've got to look at my notes and go back and see what this is supposed to connect to, because I don't have a blue wire that comes off of this. If I do, it's falling down in here somewhere and I've got to find it. So give me a little bit and we'll come back and we'll see where we're at. Alright guys, so I got that figured out. I had two ground wires, if you remember I said, coming out of the lower section of the main hull here. And I thought they both connected to the black wire, but they don't, because the one is my negative wire to my LED strip for the nacelle lighting. And that's going to be controlled by a controller board that I'm hoping to get hooked up to this. So I had to disconnect that, and now that's just going to hook to that ground wire for the warp nacelles. Is going to hook to that blue wire, because that blue wire runs all the way out. The bottom will run into the base, because the base is where I'm going to install that control board for that once I get it. Once I get that board done, which I don't have it ready yet, that's part of the reason why I had it running down into the base, because that way I can get this all done and get the base done on it, and then all I've got to do is connect that wire to the Arduino board with the control code that I'm looking to use for this. So now we're all straight on that. let's do this again. Get this one. I gotta get this one wire fished in here now. So we've got that in. Just pull the slack out of these wires. This blue one is the one I need to find, because it's the one that's in my way. There it is. And just pull all these cables in until I've got the pylon ready to slide into place where it needs to be. Got that one, and there's that one. And now all I got to do is get these wires tucked in out of the way so that I can put the two top halves together. There we go. All right. All right, so I got that kind of just sitting in place now. And what I need to do is get, before we do a final gluing and assembly, I want to test all the lighting on this, make sure all my lights are working before I get this completely sealed up. So give me a minute, I'm going to get this all hooked up and we'll come back and take a look at it. All right guys, so here we go. She's hooked up, checking all the lights out, making sure everything's working. We've got all of our lights. Let me turn this overhead light off. And there we go. You can see our nav lights, red and green, blinking, strobes, all blinking. We've got a strobe on the front there too of the pylon, or the pontoon that you can see is blinking. Those are all good. It's a good sign. It's a good start. The lights up front, a little overly bright. I could have gone a little bit dimmer with that, but they're not bad. They'll be good. It'll be fine just like that. It's going to have to be. I'm not taking it apart to make it dimmer. I could actually throw a resistor on it, on the wire that comes out of there into the lower hull, and try to dim them down some if I'm really worried about it. But I'm not too worried about it. I think it'll be fine just like that. It's maybe a little overly bright, but not enough for me to fret too much over it. There's our impulse engine in the back. I've still got to put the glass. I've got to paint that glass yet and put it over that And of course, got this light leak here because I've got to seal this up. Once I seal that up, you won't get that light leak there anymore. You can see, just like that. So that's good to go. We've got our 2 lights on the underside that I ran the fiber optics for. Those are looking great, lighting up perfect. We've got our belly strobe anti-collision light. We've got our reds on this side, both blinking. Our greens on this side are both blinking. Looks great. I am going to have to, I do see a little bit, yeah, the camera's picking it up. You got a little bit of bleed through here, so I think I pointed that out before, but this is going to be painted a darker color. I've still got to do that yet. Once I paint this, it's going to be painted basically the same color that I used for the vents here on the side. Once I do that, that color is not going to come through. You're not going to see that once that darker paint gets on. Same thing on that side. You can see a little bit of the green. But once I get that darker paint in there, you won't be able to see that. So everything's looking good. All the lights are working perfectly. I just noticed I got a paint fix I got to fix right there. Number 265 on the list of repairs. But that's a simple one. So let's check out now. Let me set this on its side here, and let's take a look at our nacelles. This wire, get this wire wrapped around here a minute. There we go. And there we go. There's our nacelles are all lit up. Nice glow coming from those. I do have to touch up the outside here. I got a little bit of white that misted on here when I was touching up another area. So, but that's an easy fix. I'll just take and lightly brush. I'll do some dry brushing over this with my my paint that I used for this, and I'll get that touched up. But the main concern was all the lights working and everything is working perfectly on this. So it's coming together nicely. I'm ready to seal this up now that I've got this light test done. And actually I may throw a resistor on this strip just to bring this down a little bit. I think it's still a little overly bright. But yeah, that's looking great. I like the way that's turning out. So hopefully, I'm going to wrap this video up. I think this is a little bit of a short video. I don't think I've made this one very long, but that's okay. I'm going to wrap this one up, and then we'll come back on the next one. Hopefully I'll have this ready to mount, but it may be a little bit because I've got to do a custom display stand for this that I'm currently working on in CAD. So once I get that done and get this mounted, we'll come back and take a look at that display stand, and we'll do a final closeout video. I'll have all the decals done on this, and we'll be ready to wrap this up. So I think one more video once I get that display stand done and get the decaling done and some final detail painting done, we'll be ready to wrap the Grissom build up. So give me a little bit. Like I said, it may be a couple weeks, it may be a month or so. It might be, you know, close sometime with the holidays coming up. It's going to be difficult to kind of get this wrapped up. I may get it wrapped up hopefully before the first of the year. We'll get this wrapped up and ready to move on. But anyway, as always, thank you for watching. I appreciate everybody's watching these videos. Thank you for all the new subscribers, everybody that's been signing up and subscribing to these videos. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It costs you nothing, but it helps me out a lot. And while you're at it, if you're going to hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell icon if you want to get the updates automatically. But as always, shout out to my sponsors, Cass over at Lake Monster Details, Gus over G-Cals, and Gary over at Mask Design, whose excellent masks we have used on this kit. So again, everybody, thank you for watching. Till next time, keep modeling.